let's go ahead and dive into Lego Masters, John and Justin. First, I like to start it simple. I like to start it fun. And John, I'll kick it off with you first. Let's take
Yeah.
audiences back. What was your earliest memory of your first Lego build?
Mhm. My first Lego build, wait, as a child or on Lego Masters?
No, as a child, just earliest memories. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
honestly, it feels like I was just a kid in a candy store there. So I
yeah.
kind of a child. Um, Justin and I have talked so much about like our first loves, and mine was a pirate ship that I was gifted for Christmas from Santa, around, I don't know, like 5, 6 years old. And the pirate ship was actually one of the first ones to come up with like a fabric sail. And now they're doing
Mhm.
vintage versions of it, but it was one of the coolest things. And I remember like playing around with like the anchor and like tying it like meticulously and the cannonballs and the cannons and all the little fun details. And I just remember thinking, I had three younger sisters and they all got doll houses. And I just wanted to play Lego. And then that was like the permission that I needed to be like, oh, I'm gonna be really into this.
Justin, what about
That's
you?
awesome. Yeah. So growing up, the sets that I remember super nostalgic for me are the Pirates theme that was called Islanders. So they had these little catamarans, and there was this brick built statue type thing that ended up being it's had this head that swiveled, and there was like a little rope bridge that was there, and monkeys and parrots and everything. So those, and then also all of the space themes. They were just super, super fun. So I remember going through the list or the catalog and circling every set I wanted. And it was basically just circling the entire catalog. So
It's like, hey, what do you want for Christmas? I don't know. Here's the whole catalog. You know what
exactly.
I
Yes. All of this.
mean?
Just- Justin mentioned this on like on during one of our Gables chats, and all I could think about was that it was very reminiscent of like Legends of the Hidden Temple on Nickelodeon, and how much
Yeah.
I'm in love with it. Like, oh my gosh! But Islanders like had a perfect vibe to it, and now I just want to see him
Hmm.
bring it back because it's so cool.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, so let's talk about Lego Masters. Whose idea was it? How did the relationship form to deliver you guys being together? Whose decision? What's that conversation like? Just, yeah, give us some details behind that.
Yeah. So since season one, our casting has been reaching out to me and my husband Philip to see if we would be interested in going together. And for the first few seasons, we both didn't feel ready and were kind of overwhelmed with it. Eventually, I started to get really excited about it, and he was still like not quite sure. And so I began the casting process, I think season four. And then with season five, Philip and I actually were going to audition together, but the timing didn't work with his ability to be off work at the same time. And so with his blessing, I asked like, "Hey, would you mind if I still pursue this? Because I really want to do this." And he was fully supportive, which is great. So I reached out to John, who I had gotten to know, I guess, through Instagram about 2 years before, maybe, or a year and a half before. He's in Dallas, I'm in Austin, and so we actually hadn't met in person yet, but had just communicated back and forth through Instagram. And John, I knew his personality was fantastic and that we would mesh really well, which is great. And it was important to me that if I wasn't going with my husband, it needed to be with someone that I felt comfortable with, for sure. But then also, I knew that he was a fantastic builder, and that our approaches to building was just totally different. And so I thought that would be a really good blend. So thankfully, he said
Ricky,
yes.
when oh my God, Ricky, when Justin reached out and said, "Do you like want to audition for this with me?" I thought, "Oh my gosh, absolutely! I am totally in this." I was like, "Of course!" It's like every AFO's dream to go
Hmm.
out to the show, and then to even be like selected to then go into the build room, like it was incredible. Ricky, one kind of crazy thing is that so I used to live in Austin, like 17 years ago. And Philip, Justin's husband, and I were friends because I was actually dating one of his friends. And so we were all hanging out, like we were brunch buddies. And then years and years later, when Justin and I then connected after I had left Austin, we were talking about our families. And Justin says, "Oh, my husband, Philip." And I'm like, "I knew a Philip in Austin. Wait, hold on." And then I'm like, "I used to brunch with him all the time." So we got on
Hmm.
Facebook. and it was like no time had like passed. It was great, but even going through that whole process of like it bonded us together in terms of like our
Hmm.
build perspectives, and like we really learned quickly that we both bring very different strengths to the table, but at the same time, like I mean, areas of like building opportunity, we complement each other. So it was actually a perfect pairing, like before we
Hmm.
got build room. But then the first times that we built together, the first times we're actually in the build room. So it was like, thank God we actually like build well together. So
Yeah.
Right. Glad this worked out in our favor. All right,
Yeah. Yeah.
so episode two, right? Nikki and Britton, you guys team with them. How did
Mm-hmm.
that
yes.
win boost your confidence heading into the following competitions?
Yeah.
I mean, through the
Yeah. Do you
roof.
want to take
I was like through the roof. I mean, I was so excited. I think between when we first got paired with them, I saw them. I mean, you don't look up a lot while you're building because you have a limited amount of time, but you do get to kind of see how people work together. And Nikki and Britt's vibe was perfectly paired with ours. So when we opened up the box and we actually saw the two minifigs line up, it was like, oh, this is going to be a good pairing. This is really going to be
Hmm.
good. And then the way that we were able to really divvy out responsibilities quickly, like, I mean, it was like, oh, all four of us knew our roles. And Justin is like one of his main strengths is color, is color theory and color pairing. And he was doing patterns and we were assembling. And before you know it, I had like 5 tiers of a white block and assembled in just different ratios. But then we were able to decorate it. It was almost like, wow, like we build really well together for like only having done this, a couple weeks ago. And even then it was like, yeah, we've got some momentum now. And to come out of that a win, like, oh, that was a cherry on top of the wedding cake.
Oh, it was huge. Yeah. I remember in the first episode too, that was, as John said, the first time we really built together. So we were learning each other's strengths. We were learning how to communicate with each other. I was looking around the room during that first build and was comparing us to everybody else and really comparing me to everybody else and thinking, oh, is this good enough? And had a lot of imposter syndrome going into the show. And John was very confident from the beginning, which was really helpful for me because I was like, we're seeing the same thing, right? Like you're seeing it in a different way than I am. But that second episode helped me start to believe more in myself and in our team. I started to see like, okay, we can actually work really
Yeah.
well together. And this might lead to something big, which is really exciting. So, but yes, I think my confidence got boosted in part because John had pure confidence from the beginning.
Yeah, Justin, as an avid watcher of
Hmm.
Lego Masters, right? You're watching the build, you see it over the years. Maybe what's
Hmm.
something that you weren't expecting that maybe shocked you when you head into the pit, when you head into builds?
Hmm.
What's something that maybe shocked you that you didn't expect as you were trying to prepare for it?
Yeah. So the build room, I mean, they told us we had 10 million bricks, I think, and that sounds astonishing, and it really is. But when you think about it, it's a lot of bricks in volume, and it's not every single brick that you would need to make something sculpted and whatnot. At home, I have access to all different types of things, and it might be 10 of like this piece, but this piece might not be in the brick pit. And so, what I'm used to is being able to spend time. Uh, Figuring things out, fiddling away, picking different things, trying different things out, and initially or eventually finding like the perfect piece for something. In the brick pit, you don't have access to really every single part. You just might have access to 100 of something that you didn't have access to at home. And so that was a little bit challenging. I really am trying to lean away from perfection, but I'm a perfectionist for sure. And I like to spend time really polishing and making things as nice and clean and finished as possible. And when you're on a time crunch, that's not really always possible. So you have to balance your time on this needs to get finished. And then once it's finished, then also we need to add those finishing details that kind of smooth things out and improve upon it. And so I think that's also where, when I was looking around the room and comparing what we were building large and big and just quickly, which was exciting. But my brain was trying to catch up with that and say, like, how do we, like, I also want to polish and spend more time that we just didn't have. So the time crunch probably, and then also just learning the organization of the brick pit too was confusing. So,
For sure. All right, so this week's
Oh
episode, we
gosh,
are
yes.
building the one of the biggest IPs ever, right? In Batman.
Hmm.
You guys got the classic TV series. How did you guys
Yes.
kind of begin the plan for what was ahead? And maybe talk to me about the PAL sign and what kind of
Mm.
happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I mean, we're so excited to get that era. I mean, the
Hmm.
Adam West era of Batman is just iconic in its own way. The colors, the gadgets, like all of that. I mean, of the 19 like the 50s and 60s, it's just so much fun to play with. And up
Hmm.
until that, color was our best friend. We love color. We love, putting that in. So doing something that wasn't this, the typical Batman black was something like, oh, we really want to lean into that. And then we also, talked about, well, let's not just do a like a car because we were thinking like, oh, great, everybody's going to go to car. But one of the
Hmm.
coolest parts of the Adam West of that time is that, oh, these are just crazy vehicles that like you would have never, realized. So doing something that felt like a snowmobile to us was like, oh, that's completely different because there's going to be a
Hmm.
special episode with like the penguin, and then we're going to be racing down and trying to capture and all that. And it was like, yeah, let's do something that looks and feels
Hmm.
much, much different. So automatically we knew we wanted to lean into color, and then we didn't want to do a car. We wanted to do a different vehicle.
For sure. And I would say that Batman is huge for both of us in terms of our childhood. And I mean, it was so big in pop culture. My husband and I watch every movie in general, period. We love films and such and love superheroes. And so I was thrilled about the challenge, but I was nervous about the color piece. So we were lucky. We both felt super lucky that we got the era that felt like we could go campy and be silly and ridiculous because that felt like it would play a little bit more to our strengths. When we were building out the POW sign, we were also trying to figure out one of the requirements, I believe, and we've yet to see the episode, so we'll watch it again tonight. And it's been a year and a half, so forgive me if I don't remember all the perfect details of it. But um, we had to build a mechanism, I think, that like a weapon or something that would pop out or whatnot. So we immediately went to those onomatopoeia, pow, bam, all those different things, thinking that could be the action is just the noise. And so that was like the idea in terms of what we wanted to launch out of it. And really, we ran into the time clock crunch and building the mechanism. We had built things that move out and spin and whatnot. I had never built something that went up and down. And so part of it was the challenge of the weight of the mechanism and needing to have compression on the left and the right to make sure that thing went up and down as opposed to fell off the back. Because when you have a gear on this side pushing against it, it's kind of pushing it backwards. So that's where we really ran into some struggles is just the weight of it and the structure of it. And I think if I had it to do over, I would have wanted to build the mechanism into the vehicle first and make that the very first thing that we tackled, as opposed to building the mechanism separately, making sure it worked, and then attaching it to the machine or to the build. Because that's where I think we ran into issues was, oh my gosh, like, how does this get kind of or stay put, I suppose, the way it's supposed to?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was cool because obviously that's such a the pow, the smack, the
Hmm.
that's such an iconic part of that TV series. You know what I mean? Without that,
Hmm.
it's just one of the big characteristics. So I appreciate going after that. But all right, my final question, you guys, I'm going to put you guys a little bit of the spot. Maybe you know,
Yeah.
but if you don't know, pretend you don't know. Who is going to win Lego Masters?
Ooh, John, you go first.
I mean, what I love is that like we don't like that's what's
Hmm.
exciting. And I'm
Hmm.
really right there with you because we don't, and we kind of as a cast swore all of us to secrecy. So I didn't want to know. So it's
Hmm.
the secret so far. I'd have to say that, Ben and Michael, from an architecture standpoint, from an engineering standpoint, they've got builds on lock. They do such a great
Hmm.
job. I think Sage and Ian is like they're kind of like my like ooh, they're like the young, talent. Like they love color, they love characters. And then even in the last challenge before, and the steampunk challenge, like their work on the bike and their storytelling over the rabbit, to not squash it in the middle of the road. I'm like, that was cool. So I think I'm pulling for Sage and Ian. But it's also like recognizing that like Ben and Michael, like it's just their engineering skills.
Hmm.
Like, I wish that I had Michael's brain. No, I wish I had Ben's brain. Sorry, Michael. But I wish I had his brain just because he would be like, we get the assignment and automatically he would be like 10 gadgets done. And it would be like,
Yeah.
we're just trying to do.
How? Yeah, for real.
So I
Um,
would say the two of them, but I would say Sage and Ian, I'm pulling for.
Yeah. Sage and Ian. So I knew Ian really well before I've known him from Brick Rodeo, which is a Lego convention before the show, and honestly admired his work for so long. And then we met Sage as a part of the show. So I have a soft spot in my heart for both of them and think they're fantastic with storytelling and sculpting. But I will also say I developed really close relationships with Anthony and Joe, and I am so impressed with what they have to do. So when we were eliminated, I remember telling Anthony, go win this. Like, I want to see you win this. And it's just because I think they have so much to show that some people have started to see with the different episodes. And I am so excited to see kind of what comes from it as well. But all that said, like we became a family. Like it's such a wonderful crew that we're super close with, which is great. And I'm excited to see kind of what we get revealed to us since we don't really know what happens after this. So we'll see.
So basically, Ricky, we're all about Texas. So sorry, Ben and Michael.
Yeah,
We're
actually,
going Sage and
that's
Ian, Anthony, Joe. We're staying true to our Texas roots, and
yeah, Team
we're going
Texas.
Texas or bust.